If you've ever wanted to beat the stuffing out of Charizard, then Pokken Tournament Deluxe for the Switch is the game for you. Pokemon face off in fast-paced battles, and Joel Simon from Treehouse is here to tell us more. Hi, Joel.
Hey, Brian.
Welcome to E3 at IGN. Thank you for bringing your Pokemon Tekken characters with you.
Pokken Tournament Deluxe.
Pokken Tournament Deluxe.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
These are not animals, right? These are Pokemon.
These are Pokemon, yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure I get their technical genus down. Now, this was a big game on Wii U. People really liked it, but you guys are bringing it back for Switch with a bunch of new stuff, correct?
Yeah, it's great. So they've optimized it for the Switch. So for the Wii U version, you're stuck at home behind your console, and you have to use the Wii U gamepad. Now you have the ability to take it, undock it, and go anywhere. Go over to a friend's house, play a two-player game right there. You can sit on a park bench and have a local wireless game with Pokken Tournament.
Challenge people on the streets.
Yes.
Fight them to the death.
Yeah.
You know, metaphorically.
Metaphorically, yeah. Into a Pokken death, yeah.
There we go.
Wait, they faint.
Yeah. So here we're checking out some gameplay. We just saw the character select screen for a second.
Okay.
You're going to have to over-explain everything we're looking at here.
I will. So first of all, they've selected one of the characters, Decidueye, which is a new Pokemon for this Pokken Tournament Deluxe. They've added five new fighters. There's Decidueye, which is exclusive to the Nintendo Switch, and then there's also Krogunk, Darkrai, Empoleon, and Scizor. And those were characters that were only available in the Japanese arcade version. There was a Japanese arcade version.
Oh, interesting.
And they were released now for the Switch version, so it's really exciting. They've updated this version to make it completely up to par with the Japanese version that was.
That's really fascinating. So there was a way to play this game specifically in arcades in Japan to get access to some of these characters. And the only way to really do that was to fly there.
To fly to Japan, yeah.
Which now you can save some money and just buy a Switch instead.
Yeah, you can save yourself some money and play it on the Nintendo Switch.
Although you should visit Japan someday because it is very lovely over there.
Yeah.
So that's really awesome. What was the decision to sort of bring those characters here? Was because you wanted to give people a more access to them, or give people a chance?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and one of the things is that there was a really big competitive scene for Pokken in Japan, and there was also in the United States, but they didn't have the ability to upgrade or to add extra fighters that were added in Japan for the Wii U version. So they finally decided to update this version, bring it to the Nintendo Switch, which gives you the ability to go anywhere with the game and then battle against your friends with these new characters.
Now, you guys just had a Pokemon Direct recently, in which this game was revealed. How was the sort of reaction when that first happened?
People were really excited about it because one of the things they were asking for was these new arcade fighters, and then adding Decidueye to it, it really got them excited. So, yeah, we're getting a good response on the show floor.
And we just had another Pokemon announcement today during the Nintendo Showcase. So pretty much all the bases are starting to get covered for Pokemon fans on Switch.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
How did Tekken fans react to this game?
I haven't heard any reaction from Tekken fans because I know there was a new Tekken release, right? Just a few weeks ago.
Yeah, which is kind of awesome because I think everybody's just got their bases covered. They're all happy.
Yeah.
So now, when players play this on Switch, is there anything new they can expect? Are you guys doing anything with sort of like local multiplayer or
there is local
HD Rumble?
That's a good question. There is local multiplayer, and then there's also online wireless ranked matches, and they have friendly matches if you're not doing ranked. Then there's also daily missions that you can complete. They give you an objective, and if you complete that objective, they'll give you some extra money and whatnot. They've also optimized all the fighters to bring it to what it was in the arcade version. And they've just added a lot of bells and whistles to this version.
So you said there are daily challenges, and if you beat them, you get money. You're going to have to explain that. What are you using the money for?
So the money is strictly just for your avatar. So you can buy your bling if you want a feather boa on your avatar, or if you want a new hat, a fedora. It's any kind of clothing for your avatar that's over and down in the bottom corner there. So there's a lot going on to there. And one of the things about this that makes this game special is that it's a little bit of arena fighter, 3D arena fighter that you see with like ARMS, and it's also the classic 2D fighter that you see with like Street Fighter. And it will switch in between those two versions. So it starts off in 3D mode where you will harass your opponent with like ranged attacks and whatnot, and then you can switch to dual phase, which is the 2D fighter phase, and mix it up there and switch in between two. So it's an easy game to pick up. but there's a lot of layers to it that make it really hard to master.
Which is kind of the perfect design that you would want to have in a fighting game, right? Is something that's sort of like casuals can come in and button mash a little bit, which I tend to do when I'm not doing well. But people can really lock in and become experts on it. And we've seen the fighting game community kind of really attach themselves to this one, right?
Yeah, we've seen a pretty good response from the fighting game community. And I mean, it's always fun to see these Pokemon moves that you've seen on the DS in the core series kind of brought into real life. And Decidueye is one of the classic examples. One of the big wow moments for this game is that there's a synergy meter for this game where that kind of is supposed to imply the connection between the trainer and the Pokemon, right? And when that gets maxed out, your Pokemon goes Super Saiyan. He goes Synergy Burst mode. And then eventually you can do a burst attack, which is kind of a mix between Mega Evolutions from the core series and Z moves, kind of all rolled into one, this really beautiful like attack.
And it's just pure visual chaos that you summoned in.
And you do a lot of damage too. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So are you sort of like playing this game every day now? Like what's the sort of things that you're personally like falling in love with? Is it the daily challenges? Is it the shop stuff? Do you really like the new characters?
I like the new characters. And it's also, it's learning each different character because when you're playing characters, there's different kind of layers to the attacks. Like one of my favorite characters is Krogunk, one of the new characters, and he has a special attack where he has this kind of mode in attack where if he attacks you and debuffs your moves, because you can debuff their defense and their attack, like in the core series game, you do more powerful moves. One of them is Scissor has Swords Dance, which if you leave him alone, he'll do a sword dance and then his moves will be more powerful. Right? So it kind of, if you let somebody sit back and just turtle, they can become more powerful and then come back and attack.
Oh, wow.
You. Yeah. So there's little wrinkles into this game, kind of onions that you remove different layers.
Little pokey onions all over the game.
Onions, yeah.
I love that.
Right?
Now, if I wanted to play this game single player, I find myself playing a lot of Switch stuff on a flight, on a train, in a car, stuff like that. And if I don't have, let's say, a bunch of friends on the plane with me, which I usually don't, because I'm a loser, I like to just play single player stuff. Is there going to be enough for me to do there? Is like fighting against the computer like a good time? Like, what are your suggestions to sort of maximize that experience?
So there's the daily missions, and there's also, they have this mission panel where if you complete different objectives going through the single player game, you'll be able to unlock different artwork, right? So if you do something like use a certain support character multiple times, it'll unlock different panels. And after you complete that, you'll actually get this piece of artwork. So it gives you something to go forward to when you're for the completionist.
That's awesome. And I imagine this game looks great just running in handheld mode on the Switch screen, right?
Yeah, it does. It looks really good. It looks better on TV mode, though.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's one thing they did was they optimized it from the Wii U version to the Switch. So everything's running at 60 frames. And local wireless is a little bit slower, but you have that local signal connection kind of lag. But it looks great. And like I said, just looking at all these different moves is kind of amazing.
Do you know if bringing it to 60 frames changed the flow of the fight or anything like that? I know like fighting game fans are meticulous about every single
frame
pixel,
counting,
every frame count. Yeah.
No, it's been pretty consistent. That's one of the things they did was try to bring it in line with the arcade version that was in Japan, and they've done a really good job at it.
Awesome. So when does this game out?
It comes out September 22nd.
That's very cool. And so you said you have a couple favorite characters in this game, right? Which ones are you sort of maining right now?
I main Krogunk. Okay. Krogunk's kind of like the shifty. He's kind of like a hoodlum. No, seriously, where after he beats somebody, he'll spit onto the side or whatever. Yep. So it's got a nice little flavor to it, especially in a Pokemon game.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and so I also like the Decidueye is a really great character too because it flies a lot, so it has a good aerial game which is kind of confounding to some people.
You called it an it. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Because we don't know exactly what it is?
Yeah, we don't. It is decidui. It's an it.
Decidui.
Yeah, but you call.
That's awesome. And you mentioned the store interface in the game. What kind of stuff? You said a fedora and a feather boa, which makes it sound like you're starting like an 80s R&B group.
There's some kind of weird, interesting costume selections they have like a graduation, like a board and mortar, whatever, and like a graduation gown. You can dress yourself out in like a wetsuit and what are goggles or whatnot. Yeah, some really strange choices. But you know, there's a lot of different costume selections in there that you can bring out your own personality. Yeah,
that's a very interesting thing to sort of like, I don't know, get beat up by, is like a guy on graduation day. yeah, or someone who has hearts and flowers all around his avatar. I think either of those are sort of equally damaging to your psyche. So we're seeing a lot of different sort of stages here, a lot of different environments. Can you talk about some of the backgrounds or kind of levels that you can fight in here?
Okay, so most of the different stages are arenas, so they're circular, and depending on the different stage, you'll have different settings. But most of the time, the arena is typically round, or they'll be oval, and they'll be smaller or larger depending on the stages you're on. So some of them will give you some range, some distance in order to attack each other from range, and some of them will be really close, and you mix it up right away. There are two extra stages two new stages that they've added to the game: a snow stage and a beach stage that add a lot of personality.
So we don't really like see a lot of like, you don't see anyone really getting knocked out of the ring or anything like that. That's not really a mechanic here, right?
No, that's not a mechanic. Yeah.
Good, because that's how I always got my ass kicked in Soul Calibur.
Yeah, it's more of a like put you up against the wall or the ropes, and then
And a lot of the stages are inspired by sort of different areas from throughout Pokemon history?
There's Pokemon stages. Yeah, this one right here is kind of a water stage, sunken stage for each different characters. There's most of them, well, the setting for this game is in the Farum region. In the Farum region, which is a new region for this game, and as you battle through the single-player game, you want to become the Farum champion. The Pokken Tournament Deluxe champion. And so it's instead of battling different trainers, you'll battle against different fighters and whatnot, and you go up the league.
That's awesome, and we see a good mix of sort of projectile stuff and close range stuff.
Yeah.
This guy is hilarious.
Yeah, that's Crow. That's Krogunk.
I can see why you play with him a lot.
Yeah, so if you watch right now, they're in duel phase, and this is where you throw your punches and your haymakers to really put somebody in. And then if you do a throw, it'll switch automatically to field phase, kind of throw them away and get them away from you, so then you can roll around and harass them, hit them with ranged attacks and whatnot. So
I still find it odd to see, how do you pronounce his name, Poplio?
Poplio.
Poplio. Yeah. I find it odd to see him fighting because well, I'll be honest, it's a little unsettling.
The little seal, he's so cute. Well, actually,
well, that's the thing. I don't want to see him get hit.
He's not actually helping. He's not actually fighting. He's one of your support Pokemon. So he helps you during your battles, and each of the support Pokemon will have different abilities. They'll either straight out attack your opponent like Litten does, or they will support you like Poplio does. He'll increase your defense or attack when you're in battle, or some of them will just disrupt your opponent. They'll either debuff their defense or attack, or slow them down and make them a lot easier to take down.
Now, is this the kind of game you see sort of growing and evolving over time? When it comes out in a few months, people get to play it again, and people got to play it on Wii U, but I think like if it finds a really big audience on Switch, which I imagine it will, do you think this is something where we'll see more characters added down the line, more stages, more items in the shop? I mean, obviously you've got the daily challenges, which will probably plan to go on for a long time, but where do you think this game can grow from there?
There's a lot of room to it. Just the advancement that you've seen from the Wii U version to the Switch version has shown where you can add different stuff. But as in like adding add-on content or something like that, we don't have any plans to announce anything right now.
But you won't say no.
I won't say no.
Never say never. See, that's excellent news. Any last words about this game that you want to get out to the audience?
It's just basically I want to say that it is a Pokemon game, and it does seem kind of simple, but there's a lot to it. There's a lot of different layers in switching between the field phase and the duel phase and all the different characters. And I would suggest everybody give it a chance at least.
All right. Yeah, guys, give it a chance.
Yeah.
Joel, thank you so much for coming by and talking about this game with us.
Thank you, Brian.
We've got to take a quick break. IGN Live at E3. We'll be back in just a minute. Don't go away.